Hey, welcome back. So last time we got all the tools laid out and set up your Python workshop. Well, today we're officially open for business. If you've got everything set up and you're ready to start creating, you are in exactly the right place.
Because today we get to the really fun stuff. It is time to write your very first Python program. And here's my promise to you. By the end of this, you won't just have written and run some code. You'll actually get how it all works under the hood.
All right, so before we even type a single character, let's just quickly pull back the curtain. It's super helpful to have a mental picture of what's happening when you run your code. It's not actually magic, but honestly, the process is just as cool. It really boils down to these three simple steps. First, you just write your instructions, your code, in simple text. Next, a program called a Python interpreter comes along and reads what you wrote. But here's the key. It reads it one line at a time. Then, after reading a line, the computer immediately carries out that command and shows you the result. It's the step-by-step process that makes Python feel so fast and rewarding. You know, Python is what we call a high-level language, which is just a fancy way of saying it's like a friendly translator. You get to write instructions in a language that's close to English, and Python takes care of translating it into the ones and zeros the computer actually understands. It hides all the super complex stuff so you can just focus on your ideas. And that right there is why it's one of the best first languages for anyone to learn.
Okay, theory time is over. Let's get our hands dirty. Go ahead and open up whatever Python environment you set up last time. It's time to write the most famous, most traditional first program in all of coding history. Hello world.
So I want you to type this into your editor, character for character, exactly like you see it here. That's print, an open parentheses, a quotation mark, the phrase hello world, another quotation mark, and a closing parentheses. Got it? Okay, hit run.
And boom, there it is. Right there on your screen, you should see the words, Hello World. It might not look like much, but that's it. That's the computer doing exactly what you just told it to do. And seriously, that's it. You've done it. Take a second and let that sink in. You just wrote a real working Python program. That is a huge first step and a massive win on your coding journey. So for real, congratulations.
Now let's zoom in and break down what we just did. That word print, that's a function. Think of it as a built-in command that knows how to do one specific thing. The parentheses next to it are like little buckets that hold the information you want to give to that command. And the quotation marks, they're super important. They tell Python, hey, everything between us is just plain text. Don't try to read it as code. We call that piece of text a string.
And you know, a great way to understand why something works is to see what happens when it breaks. So if you take out those quotation marks, Python gets totally confused. It doesn't see hello world as text anymore. It thinks hello is some kind of command it's never heard of, and it'll just give you an error. So those quotes are like a signal, telling Python exactly where the text begins and ends.
Okay, printing one static message is a great start, for sure. But the real fun in programming comes from making things dynamic and interactive. So let's level up and look at how we can get our code to store and even ask for information.
And the main tool we use for that is something called a variable. Honestly, the best way to think of a variable is just as a labeled box. You can stick some information inside the box, and then later on, anytime you need that information, you just use the name you wrote on the label. Simple as that.
Let's see it in action. First, we're creating our box and labeling it name. Then we use the equal sign to put the text Gina inside. See that? Now, in the next line, we tell Python to print hello, and then we use the plus sign to add whatever is inside our name box.
This little trick has a fancy name, string concatenation. Yeah, it sounds a little intimidating, but all it means is linking strings together. You are going to be doing this all the time, so it's a great one to get comfortable with.
Okay, so this is cool, but our program still says hello Gina every single time. What if we could make it more personal? What if the program could actually ask for your name when it runs?
Well, we can. We just use another built-in function called input. Now, when Python sees this line, something really cool happens. It prints the question on the screen, and then the whole program just pauses. It waits for you to type something and hit enter. And whatever you type gets stored right inside that name variable, ready to be used in your personalized greeting. How cool is that? So we've played around with text, but that's really only half the story. Python is also an amazing calculator. In fact, working with numbers is one of the core things it was built to do.
And what's so smart about Python is how it understands context. Look at the plus sign here. When it sees numbers on both sides, it knows you want to do math, so it adds them up and gives you 8.
But when it sees strings of text, it knows you want to connect them. It does something completely different with the exact same symbol. Go on, play with it. Swap out the plus for a minus sign, or an asterisk for multiplication, or a slash for division. Experimenting is the best way to learn.
Now, as your code gets a little more complex, one of the best habits you can start building right now has nothing to do with making the computer do stuff. It's actually all about communicating with another person, your future self.
And we do that with comments. Any line in your code that starts with a hash symbol, that number sign, is completely ignored by Python. It's like it's invisible to the interpreter. It's just a note from you, to you, explaining what a piece of code does, or, more importantly, why it does it.
I absolutely love this saying because it's so true. You will always think you'll remember why you wrote something a certain way. Trust me, a few weeks later, you won't. Leaving good comments is like leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for yourself to follow later. It's a lifesaver, so start the habit now.
All right, let's just take a quick step back and look at everything you've packed into your brain. In just these last few minutes, you've started building up a really solid foundational Python toolkit. Think about it. You can now show things on the screen using print. You can store information in variables. You can make your programs interactive with input. You can do math. And you can explain your code with comments. These 5 things right here, they are the fundamental building blocks of pretty much every single program you will ever write. So you've done it. You've laid the foundation. And now the really exciting part begins. The big question is, what are you going to build next? In our next explainer, we're going to dig way deeper into variables and all the different kinds of data Python can handle. It's going to open up a whole new world of possibilities. I can't wait to see you there.